Hey, welcome to another recap chat. This is Irene, CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. We're talking Never Ever Mets. In this recap, this is the aftermath of Clay and Tati leaving the house. A few people have some things to say. Charlie, Jay, and Cinco, they talk as far as when it comes to the rank of who's left to the house. I think Jay and Cinco rank themselves as number one, and Charlie and Jared as number two. Brittany and Ty are last. Really, I don't think everybody knows about the whole Charlie and Jared thing fully. Anyway, Jared confronts Brittany about the date with Ty. They both admit that it went well, but Jared says he knows she's not physically attracted to him, but she says he plays a lot. They're friendly. They kind of have more of a friendship vibe. She's not totally closing the door on physical attraction, but she says it takes time. It's in your head, so she just has to get there. It's a mental thing. And Jared's sister is the next relative to come visit the house. So he really wants to get real with Charlie. He's talking to the guys and saying, I'm going to get real with her and tell her what's up. So he admits to her. They have a one-on-one before his sister gets there, that in the game where they were asking if they would stay with their partner if they had to choose tomorrow, he said F no. She says, do you want to be with me? And he says sometimes no, maybe yes. It varies on the day. And in a perfect world, he would be with her. It was when she asked the question, do you want to be with me? He's like, well, in a perfect world. So things aren't looking great for the two of them. She goes over to Brittany and cries on her shoulder, saying this is what she feared. She basically got played. And Brittany says he shouldn't have led her on and continued to sleep with her if this was how he felt. So now she wants to know what's next. What should she do? And Brittany says you definitely need to have a talk with him. Alexis and Chris get a coaching session. And basically, he's concerned about her being controlling and aggressive. He talks about his family history of all of the, I think, step parents that he had and how they were controlling. We've heard that before. He talks about he had his own place in the ninth grade, and Alexis is surprised, but she's also happy that he opened up about his childhood trauma. She admits that she is aggressive and dominant, and basically that's a part of her culture. That's just a part of who she is. And he said he needs a woman, not a mother. She doesn't see the problem. The coach brings up the game when they were asking, would you leave your partner? If you had to choose tomorrow, what would you do? And she asked, how did it go? And he said in the moment he did say no, he wouldn't stay. And Alexis really admits, she says yes, that she would have stayed, but she said she thought they would probably work things out. She knew everything wasn't perfect, but they usually work things out, so she thought that's what would happen and they would stay together. He says he needs improvement and more needs to happen before decision day. Now that everything's out, she has time to make improvements. So now we know that Chris can do magic. He does a little card trick. That was a nice little parlor trick as we transition to when Jared's sister Jewel arrives. He says she's the best advisor. She keeps it real. They have a warm family welcome. He really has a good connection with his sister. Too bad he doesn't treat all women the way he treats his sister, but he needs to learn to. Anyway, Charlie's bestie, I think her name was Selena. She arrives and he talks to his sister while she talks to her friend, and he admits to his sister that yeah, he did lead her on. Charlie tells her friend the intimacy was amazing, everything was good. She doesn't know what happened. He just dropped this bomb on her, and really it's the kids for him, is what he says to his sister. It's just too many kids. And Charlie, she still wants to make it work and still feels like he's giving off mixed signals. I'm sorry, Charlie. For me, I think he already told you everything, and I don't know why people try to fight for things that apparently aren't worth fighting for, but it seems like they do. I know women do. I've foolishly done that. I tried to turn a blind eye because I wanted something to work that just wasn't going to work, and was trying to make it happen. Um, and I've met guys like Chris that, basically tell you what you want to hear. So you got two messy ends on both sides. It's like, how is this gonna work? And it just needs to be cut off. That's my opinion. But maybe they're trying to give us some more show to watch, so they're just gonna continue this fiasco. But I really do feel like Charlie is very vulnerable and really trying to hold on to this relationship, and I'm not sure why so much because he's a good liar. Anyway, Chris and Alex go on a date. She says she's aggressive and she realizes that, but she wants him to know that she can still be feminine and basically be the woman he needs. So she takes him out on a fitness boxing date, which he really enjoys. He's into that type of thing. The date's 10 out of 10, so he has to show her love. And they have some kissies there at the gym. So it was a great day for them, and there's hope for them. It appears to be so. All right, so the group talk, we got Charlie and her friend and Jared and his sister. They talk together, and Jules asked, well, why did you hide your kids? And Charlie said, she really wasn't trying to hide her family, but he also had some secrets he was hiding too. But once they got there, she thought that they had overcome that, and that was like the big issue. She says she makes good money and she's not expecting him to try to take care of the kids. And she's just really mad about the lies. After the fact they supposedly cleared the air, he was still lying. That was her big issue. She's trying to fend for her bro, but he's making it quite hard for her to fend for him. But she says she's always going to be on her brother's side, but he knows he was wrong in being misleading. And basically, Jared says, we just have to figure out, we might have to have this hard conversation, but we will, as far as what do we do moving forward and do we move forward. And sis was cool. Even Charlie thinks the sister was cool. I agree. She could have really, had it out with Charlie, but she was respectful at the end of the day. And she called her brother out when he needed to be called out. I say kudos to that young lady. Because I've seen some people go to bat for their family and they were so wrong, and she didn't do that. She said she was on his side, but she knew he was wrong. So, that's what you're really supposed to do with your family member, your loved one. You're not supposed to protect them to the point where they can do anything to a fault. No, you're supposed to call them out so they can be better people at the end of the day. So that was good. And so they all have dinner. It's the end of the day. They do this game about intimacy, bedroom topic game. And when it gets to Ty and Brittany, they ask the question, are you guys sexually compatible? Of course, they're going to set them up because we already know they've been having issues in that department. She takes her time and finally says yes. Because first she says she doesn't know, and I think Cinco calls her out and says you have to say yes or no. So she finally says yes. And for Ty, he's like, she took too long to answer, so he just basically said no. And he said he knew something was up. She was taking too long, so he said no. She said she was upset by that. She walked away. She said that she thought no too, but she wanted to spare him in front of the group. She didn't want him to feel bad, but she felt upset that he didn't spare her. She's a runner. She's a track star, basically is what Ty says. Whenever there's an issue, she runs off. She doesn't settle it. So they take this to the kitchen. He follows her there, and they argue it out. She's putting her nail in his face. She's using some choice words against him. And at the end of the day, he's like, I want you to keep your hands out of my face. Don't disrespect me like this. She's like, well, if you don't like what I'm doing, then just leave. So they part ways for the night. things don't look too good for these two at the moment. And he did do everything in the kitchen in front of everybody. And I do feel like that's another mistake. I feel like for me, I think she's kind of a private person. And I think she is trying to spare Ty's feelings in a lot of ways. I hope she doesn't totally like friend zone him. But I don't fully know what she's thinking or feeling. But he's pretty close to the friend zone. But at this time, they're on the outs. And for someone like that, she's more of a private person. Take her to the side. I think you should do that in all relationships, whether you're introvert, extrovert, whatever the case. If you have an issue, let's take it off to the side. But they put them in this house in this group scenario where there has to be tension, there has to be issues. And so the group thing makes it even more tension. And that's kind of how the show is set up. So you have to work with what you have to work with. But again, there's always opportunity to take people to the side. I've seen them do it before. They could do it again. Of course, there's the group games that you can't get away from. But, after the game, take the person to the side, really hash out what you want to say. And I think that will work at the end of the day. Nobody's doing that today. But that's it for this episode of Never Ever Mets. Quick take there. Off in La La Land. The word La La Land was used so many times. I love that movie La La Land. But Jared and Charlie kept saying La La Land. Well, at least Jared and his sister kept saying La La Land, because that's where they were. But he decided to put them there. He's saying that they were there, but he continued to push the narrative that everything was cool and they were going to live happily ever after. And that was very wrong and very dog of him. And like Brittany said, to continue to sleep with her, that was very dog of him. It's just not right. I mean, if she was foolish enough to sleep with you and you put everything out on the table, then that's on her. But you completely pulled the wool over her eyes and made her feel everything was all good. So you misled her into the bedroom. So not a good look. He let us know from day one, and he's still that guy. I thought he may have been more going toward the middle ground. He said some things as the show was going that, maybe he was feeling this way or that way. He did admit that, but at the end of the day, he's just basically saying, yes, I'm still that guy that as soon as you told me you had that many kids, I was done. So we'll see what happens next time on Never Ever Mets, where we talk faith, love, and trends right here on CBiz Media. There's other reality shows we're covering and talking about. So what do you want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? Let me know. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com if you want to have any further comments, or just drop something in the comments. Either way, you can check us out on other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. Thanks for listening, guys. All the best, and God bless.